I'm going to keep it simple. I know how easy it is to feel a little nervous when you're looking at a big outdoor set, especially when you've got a patio that gets both sunshine and a sudden downpour. And you don't want to waste money on something that looks great in the catalog but falls apart the first time a friend brings over a cooler. In the next few minutes I'll walk through what it actually feels like to live with the Purple Leaf 6-person dining set, point out the moments where it saves you hassle and the spots where you might still end up reaching for a backup chair. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the biggest question most people have is whether a set built from aluminum and PE rattan can really hold up under the kind of weather swings we see in many parts of the country. I dug into the material claims a bit, reading about the powder-coated aluminum frames that are supposed to resist rust, and the woven PE rattan that's marketed as all-weather. In practice, the frame feels solid but not heavy. You can lift a single chair, and it's light enough to move around the deck without a dolly, yet it doesn't wobble when someone leans back. The rattan has a texture that's softer than the hard plastic you get on some budget sets, and because it's woven tightly, it doesn't flake or splinter when you brush against it. Over the last couple of weeks I've left the set out through a 70-degree heat wave, then a sudden thunderstorm, with wind gusts that knocked a few loose leaves across the table. The cushion stayed flat, the fabric didn't soak through, and the table legs didn't flex. That tells me the claim of all-weather isn't just marketing fluff, it actually means you can forget about a seasonal storage box for a while. Comfort is the next thing that usually trips people up. The set comes with cushions that use a 45D high-density sponge, which is a step up from the thin foam you often find on cheaper sets. When you sit, the backrest is slightly curved, giving a subtle ergonomic support that keeps you from slouching over dinner. The armrests are covered in a grippable material, which sounds like a small detail, but matters when you're reaching for a glass of wine or trying to steady yourself as kids bounce around. I tested it with a family of 4 at a weekend barbecue. The adults stayed seated comfortably for a full 3-hour meal, and the kids could scoot from chair to chair without the cushions sliding off. That's a practical win you don't see in a spec sheet. Now, let's talk about the table itself. It's a rectangular aluminum surface with a teak tone finish that tries to blend the sleek look of metal with a bit of warmth. The tabletop is large enough to host a 6-person dinner, a few serving trays, and still leave room for a centerpiece without feeling cramped. I did a quick, real-world test by setting out a large pizza, a pitcher of lemonade, and a couple of plates of grilled vegetables. The table didn't bow under the weight, and the surface stayed cool to the touch even after the sun had baked it for an hour. The only nuance I noticed is that the teak finish can show fingerprints if you're serving hot dishes directly from the oven, but a quick wipe with a damp cloth brings it back to normal. Who should consider this set? If you have a medium-sized patio, deck, or backyard that you actually use for meals and social gatherings, the Purple Leaf set gives you a ready-made solution that feels more upscale than a DIY assembly of separate pieces. It's especially a good fit for families who want a table that can survive the occasional spill or the inevitable sand that gets tracked in after a beach day. The ergonomic backrests and grippable armrests also make it appealing for older adults who need a little extra support when they sit and stand. Who might want to pass? If your outdoor space is a tight balcony where you only need a couple of chairs, you'll probably be overpaying for a 6-seat configuration that you'll never fully use. Also, if you're looking for a set that can be folded flat for storage during winter, this one isn't designed for that. The aluminum frame stays rigid and the cushions are meant to stay in place year-round. Finally, if you're a minimalist who prefers a pure metal look without any rattan texture, the woven surface may feel too fancy for your taste. There are a couple of practical trade-offs worth mentioning. The cushions are removable for cleaning, which is a big plus, but they aren't machine washable. You have to hand wash them or spot clean, and the drying time can be a bit long if you live in a humid climate. The aluminum frame, while rust-resistant, can become warm under direct sun. Not a problem for the table itself, but if you're sitting on a chair for a long period.